Avast there. It be too late to alter course, mateys, and there be plundering pirates lurking in every cove, waiting to board. Sit closer together and keep your ruddy hands inboard. That be the best way to repel boarders. And mark well me words, mateys. Dead men tell no tales.
Ahoy there, mateys. Welcome to Inside the Toy Box. This is episode number 1. I'm your host, Pirate Steven, and I'm glad you're here for our very first episode because we got a really good one for you today. This is the first episode, so we got to go big. So I have a very special guest host for us this evening, and that is none other than a longtime Disney Infinity Fans Forum member and 11-time featured Toy Box artist, Mr. PapaEcho, or as I call him, Patrick. Welcome to the show, Patrick.
Thanks for having me, Pirate. Hello, Internet, Disney Infinity fans, people. How are y'all doing? How are you doing? You're the only one who can talk back, so I should probably just ask you, Pirate.
I'm fine, Patrick. Thanks for being on the show. I know there's a lot of fans out there that love to be able to see the person behind all of the great toy boxes that they've enjoyed.
Well, I appreciate the person behind him didn't shave today or anything, but he's still glad to be here nonetheless. So.
Well, excellent. So let's get right into it. I met you through the forums, and actually you collaborated with me on my Fantasmic toy box, which I think we did a pretty good job because in the Disney Parks first challenge that they had, we got the number 5 slot. So that was pretty successful. And I got to see your building style, and I guess learning from you was able to help my toy box building career. I was able to spin off a couple of featured toy boxes after that. So thank you for that. A funny story about when we were building, we would have our little powwows in the corner, and I'd say, okay, you do this, and I do this, and it felt like it was going to take the whole weekend to build this toy box that I had planned. And it's funny because I gave you an instruction, and just like the Lego movie, you just could pick every single part that you needed, like one of those Lego movie master builders, and you could see all the part numbers, and all these pieces just started floating down to the area, and you built it simultaneously. I didn't know how you did it that fast. It's kind of like a scene out of the Matrix as well. I'm impressed by how fast you can build these toy boxes.
Oh, well, I appreciate it. Part of the reason I was able to build, at least when we were collaborating, which was my first collaboration as well, part of the reason I was able to build them so fast actually has something to do with a tip or trick that we'll be doing later in the show, I'm understanding. So I'll save that one for a little bit, but yeah, that was a blast. Because that's when we were texting back and forth and talking about, what we should add. And, you were drawing elements from the Disneyland version, the Hollywood Studios version. And you just had this grand vision for it, and I'm sitting there thinking, man, there's no way we can squeeze this in a toy box. But sure enough, we got everyone in there: the Maleficent dragon, the TikTok croc, and then before you know it, we were throwing in, guys, villains that weren't even in the show. We were putting our own twist on it, which was fun. Do you remember which ones did we do? Do you remember that weren't in the original Fantasmic?
We had Oogie Boogie represented, Davy Jones, Randall, Cruella de Vil, and Gaston. So we just threw as many as we could fit in that toy box. I think it was a total of 10 because we had 10 hidden Mickeys in that toy box. But unfortunately, you can't play that toy box anymore. It's just downloaded. It's on my system. It was featured, but has been retired for a couple weeks now. But the good part is about retirement. It seems not to last forever because the Fantasmic toy box has appeared in the last 2 Toy Box TVs as background art. So I'm glad that it can live on in some form.
Yeah, definitely. We had the Maleficent dragon getting some love with the movie and I guess the challenge that's going to be out here pretty soon. But the fun part about building the Maleficent dragon, because we knew that was going to be the centerpiece of our toy box, and you kind of put the spot where it was going to be. And um, I remember thinking, boy, there's no way we could fit a giant dragon. She had these two kind of big round terrain pieces kind of coming out of the ground. And before you know it, you were kind of putting down your terrain pieces. And I just figured, let's have it kind of, and you have to see the video, I guess, of it, where the dragon's kind of grasping onto him and kind of climbing up like it kind of rises up in, I think, at least the Disneyland version. So it was kind of cool, just the organic chemistry we had going on. Just you were putting down terrain pieces, I was putting down blocks. It was a fun time.
Yeah, that dragon is definitely impressive.
There, yeah.
Yeah. So you've been featured in you've had pretty good success with your 11 featured toy boxes. What made you want to start doing these challenges?
Whew. Well, it was weird because I didn't set out originally wanting to do the weekly challenges. Um, when I first started doing them, there wasn't really one that grasped me, and I had kind of, as a Disney fan, I kind of went the route of I bought all the figures, I did all the play sets. I wasn't going to build anything um, until I unlocked every single piece in the vault and with the figures. So I was a little late to the game, I thought, when it came to the toy box. I was playing the game for at least a couple months. I think I didn't build my first one until late November, December. Got the game, and when it came out, August? Is that when it, or September? I don't really remember. But I first started kind of learning the tools and tricks. I had kind of beaten all the toy or the play sets, and I was trying to figure out, well, how do I make the most of my investment here? I'd spent all this money on these figures, so I thought I wanted to beat this game 100% completion, and I decided the little feats that you can do in the toy box, drive 5,000 meters, jump over 20, those type things. I started trying to accomplish all of those. I tried to figure out how can I beat those as quickly as possible. So I started building toy boxes specifically to try to take on those feats and try to with workarounds and things like that. And by doing that, I checked them all off the list and kind of got a good feel for how all the pieces worked, how all the tools kind of interacted and worked together. And it was with that I actually kind of learned to use the toy box. So I was just kind of building my own things for a while, and I guess we'll kind of see some of those later on in the show. But I really had a passion for the parks, and I wasn't going to enter contests. I was just going to build recreations of park attractions, and it just so happened to come along. I think it was the DuckTales challenge that kind of drew my attention, and I was like, you know what? I'll throw my hat in the ring, give it a try, and that was my first effort into a contest, and it got featured in the 5 spot, and then you kind of get hooked after that. So it was a slippery slope, but before I knew it, I was entering contests just about every week, with maybe every couple weeks taking like a 1-week break, and even that felt like withdrawals. You got shakes and everything. So
Yeah, I definitely know about getting addicted once you get that first one, because I knew I had to. After I had the first one, I was already planning my second one, and so on. What's been your favorite toy box that you've created?
whew, favorite toy box. You like them all for different reasons. I would say with me, I guess the ones I like, the challenges that I like, are kind of the more open-ended challenges. So the toy boxes I really liked were ones that came from either holiday challenges or things like, the prank challenge or the egg hunt challenge, as opposed to ones that were just from like one movie or one Disney property. Um, because I felt like you could go so many different places with it. And talking about the prank challenge, a lot of people went Monsters U, which is awesome. But I decided to go the Stitch route for that. It was kind of fun to see what Disney film, what character, what property could we attach to this. I know you did an awesome Gravity Falls box, and which introduced me to the greatness that is that show. But I like the ones where you can kind of, not only get a rush from getting featured, but you can. It's fun to be, to be able to say I was the first person to make a Stitch level or an Oswald level, or in your case, Gravity Falls or Planes. Those are pretty cool. That's cool bragging rights right there.
Yeah, your Stitch one, everybody has been dying to have Stitch in Disney Infinity since it's been announced. So I know that one is a very popular one in your canon of 11 featured toy boxes. So your last featured toy, or your most recent one, was the Egg Hunt Challenge, and that one I believe was in April, and we're in June now. So what have you been doing since then, Slacker?
Yeah, I've taken. This is the longest I've done without a toy box, and it's definitely it's been hard. But I do have a legitimate reason, and you can't come on a Pirate Steven show without having a hat to show for it. So, main reason why I haven't been building a lot is I got married May 10th. So, yep, that was a big to do. That kind of cuts into a little bit of your toy box building time there. But
Yeah, we got a picture of that right here.
yeah, she would murder me if she knew that was the photo we picked.
That looks painful.
It was funny. We just got our pictures back from the photographer. There's like 10,000 photos, and it's good to know that that's the one that people are going to get to see. So sweet.
Well, on this show we dabble in exclusives, so yeah, I had to find an embarrassing one. So congratulations on that. Hopefully your toy box building will not slow down much from. But does your wife accept the fact that her given name is now Mrs. Echo? She's going to be known as Papa Echo's wife.
She is. She's gotten used to it. It was kind of a weird thing to introduce her at first. She used to mercilessly make fun of me for no end because when I first got the game, I wanted to make sure I unlocked everything. So I had the strategy guide, which she mocked me for having a strategy guide to a video game, which I don't think I've had since I was in like 3rd grade. But every time I would unlock one of those little capsules, I would check it off my little list. So yeah, every time I check one off, she'd just be like, nerd, geek. But yeah, once I told her I got featured a few times. She didn't quite understand, the contest, but then I'd show her the levels, and she thought it was pretty cool. And then after I got featured multiple times, I had to convince her that it wasn't me just beating like 7 5-year-olds every week at this contest. So I told her there's other people like me out there. I swear, they have shows, they do podcasts, they're on forums. I had to show them just to be sure.
Does she ever make comments like you should be getting paid to do this?
Yeah, I've gotten that one a couple times. Yeah, that or why don't you take your toy box out on a date? What are you gonna do?
Oh, well, that's really funny. And so, what did y'all do for your honeymoon?
Well, we kept it close with the Disney tradition here. We did a Disney cruise. Never done one of those before. Did a 4-day cruise on the Disney Dream to the Bahamas, which was awesome. But then we stopped off after the cruise and spent a few days in the parks and got to explore some of those. We had we didn't do Epcot, but we did most of the other parks. But we had a blast. We got got all the photos, did all the meet and greets. I think you have a photo of one of the meet and greets, don't you?
This one?
We blew a Fast Pass Plus waiting in line for this one. Yep. We had a one heck of a tour guide at the Hollywood Studios.
Yeah, this guy right here is very popular at Walt Disney World attraction.
He actually, the line to meet Pirate Steven is longer than both the Frozen sisters right now, is what I've heard.
Wow. I haven't heard that one, but now that it's on the internet, it must be true.
Yeah, that's canon.
So yeah, I got to meet you in person and your wife, and she's very funny because I'd be like, "Did you know your husband's a legend on the internet?" And she just would gave me the biggest eye roll. It was hilarious, and I get that too. It's like uh, I'm telling my wife, "You're married to Pirate Steven. That means something." She's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, whatever."
They
So
keep
yeah,
us. Yeah.
we have one more picture to show from that trip. This is the one you didn't want me to show.
Yep, you got to throw that one in. Star Wars weekend at the studios there. But yeah, it was a lot of odd faces going through the merchandise right there. Good times, good times.
All right. Well, now that I embarrassed you there, do you want to share your tip and trick for the show?
Sure. And also thank you for not sharing the results of our Toy Story Midway Mania scores. I appreciate
Oh,
that.
did I forget that? Because yeah, I won in Toy Story Midway Mania. I
We
crushed
all forgot it.
it.
Totally
Wasn't even close.
forgot.
Um, so yeah, I have that on you. You may have 11 featured toy boxes to my 6, but yeah, I won in Midway Mania.
Yeah.
That's right.
Every time I pop that power disc on with the cannon, I just shed a little tear because I know I've invested. But
It's true. It's true. It happened. So
yeah.
what's your tip and trick for our audience here?
Whew. Well, I guess in light of everything we've been talking about, I would say for episode one at least, we want to kind of get a good starting tip or trick here. I would say one thing that I would recommend to a lot of people, I don't think it's gotten a real fair shake, at least that I've read or kind of felt in the community, is the iPad app in terms of building with the app, which is free on the um, iOS store. Um, but I do a majority of my building on the app for the iPad, um, and it's great. I feel like the touch controls are a lot more intuitive to building, especially when you're doing block sculptures. You can do them really quick, like with Phantasmic. I know I would kind of mess around on the iPad, and then we would meet up that night, and I kind of had an idea of how to build it, and so I could just kind of poof, build it up, just up in smoke. But it's really nice, especially if you're of the married toy box artists, ones with family. You might not always have access to the TV or your console. You can easily, build a toy box on your iPad while you're watching a movie with the missus, while you're watching football. Um, I know the Mirror Mirror toy box I made. Um, for the Heroes and Villains Challenge, which is also going the way of the dinosaur. I built that during the NFC Championship game. So during a 3.5 hour football game, I knocked out a toy box in the process. So definitely, check it out. It's worth it.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It's a free app, so you get your money's worth, even if you don't use it. I sometimes just lay in bed in the middle of the night, pick up the iPad, and start building toy box. You can mess around with your toy boxes, upload them to your toy boxes, and then download them on your console, and vice versa. So pretty much on the go whenever you have time to build. It's a time saver when you maybe share that TV with the rest of your family. So definitely recommend that iPad. There are a couple of things you have to know when you're using the iPad app. One is the empty toy box. If you start it on the iPad, the terrain is a little differently shaped. I know if you do it on the console, it's just one flat piece. This one is kind of like an island, and it builds it from the very bottom of space of your toy box. So you can't build if you use that original spot. You can't build under it, which is a problem if you want to hide your creativity toys, or if you want to go any lower than that terrain. So that's one thing to keep in mind. Patrick, do you have any other things to keep in mind for the iPad version?
Cool. Yeah. But I will definitely echo what you said there with the bottom of the toy box. And where you start, console, iPad, I think depends a lot on kind of what you want in your toy box. If you like a blank palette, I recommend starting on the console and kind of working there. The iPad version, it's got a neat little island. It's a cool shape to it. It's got a few trees and stuff. If you're looking for a little bit to start with, it is nice. I know when I did my Pirate Challenge map, I actually kept that same shape because it kind of looked like a burnt pirate map. But it is very low to the ground, like you said. And when you're first kind of starting out in the toy box, you don't, think of it having limits in terms of height and depth and the sides and all that. And it makes this, if you've ever reached the outer limits of your toy box, the perimeters, it kind of whites out a little bit, but it makes this beeping noise, and this beeping noise will haunt your dreams. And it was such a weird noise, and it was continuous. Even if you pause the screen on the console, at least, you still hear that beep. It keeps going. And when I first heard it, I actually thought I had to change the batteries in my smoke detector. And I literally stopped the game, went upstairs, got the stepladder, changed the batteries, and it was still going on. I finally figured out it's the toy box. So anyway, definitely, if you want to use that kind of more varied shape terrain, lift it up. A couple other things, if you build a lot on your iPad app, before you publish, send it to Disney for the contest. Check it out on the console first. The lighting's going to be a little different depending on your Sky Dome, different things like that. You want to make sure that the colors look the way you like them. But the other thing, too, that I've noticed about the iPad app, it's just kind of one of those quirky little things, is that the toy box meter, this is the sign for toy box meters, apparently, but it reads a little differently than the console, the iPad versus the console. So if you're building on your iPad, you might look like you're still in the yellow, save it, go to your console, and it looks like all of a sudden, boom, you're halfway through the red. So when you're building with your iPad, make sure that you're saving a little extra cushion there to make sure you get your logic in, your replayers, so that they don't kind of go haywire on you. But that's what I got.
That's good. That's good to know. And correct me if I'm wrong, just a little inside the toy box details. Didn't the iPad app save you for one of your challenges because your PlayStation 3 broke?
Yes. For the arcade challenge.
Which you got first place in?
Which was a first place one, which I'm very thankful for. Was a complete Hail Mary because I built it kind of back and forth iPad console. I never submit on the iPad for whatever reason. I don't know if I'm superstitious. I always feel comfortable submitting from the console. But my disk drive broke on my PS3 right when I was pretty much done with the game, the toy box. So I kind of had to, either give up on it, or I went to my iPad, fixed the last little bits of logic, touched it up, and I submitted through the iPad. And sure enough, not only did all the logic stay together and work fine, it ended up winning the thing. So I was completely blown away by that one.
And don't you as your iPad wallpaper background use your challenge pictures?
Yeah, the wallpaper on my iPad is always a picture or screen grab or something of one of my last featured boxes, and or at least it used to be, because now that we have thousands of wedding photos, I was told that maybe I should switch one to one of my wife's. So Oswald had to go in favor of Mrs. Echo. So.
Well, that was nice of you to give her that. Give her the iPad rights. So we're at a part of of our show that is a neat little feature that we like to show toy box artists not featured toy boxes, just to give people an idea of what other kind of artwork is out there. One of the toy box collection I want to start with to talk to you about is your Disney Parks toy boxes. Unfortunately, out of the 2 Disney Parks challenges, you didn't have any featured boxes besides the Fantasmic one we worked on. Um, but you did create quite a few Disney Parks boxes, so we're gonna show some of those right now. Uh, so this first one is, why don't you tell us what this is?
Well, I was gonna say it's a black screen on my side, but it just popped up. This is my Small World box. I kind of, for the last Disney challenge, I went a little nuts. When you go to any of the stores down at Disney World, they have a couple merchandise spots, but they have a lot of the merchandise that says 4 parks, 1 world. It's kind of their little slogan. So I said, you know what? I want to have that be my slogan uh, for this kind of string of entries here. But Small World just had its 50th anniversary. Figured it was a hot time for that. Everyone's favorite roller coaster thrill ride. So the outside is kind of based off the Disneyland version. The interior, the track, and all that is more Disney World. It's actually kind of follows it fairly extensively. I watched the YouTube video pretty much, start, stop, as they hit every little stand detail. It's got a rail slide around it. It was originally supposed to be a racetrack, but the problem was that the little townspeople, and this is actually the Good Pirates' idea, was to make a Small World toy box because the townspeople look just like the townspeople from Small World. And so I made a racetrack, and they were kind of all around on the different things. And I realized that the townspeople, if you've ever played with townspeople before, don't like to stay still. They'll find that one spot you don't want to put them in, they'll go there. And they would just walk out into the track. So as you're driving through Small World, you're just hitting small children left and right, and they're going flying and screaming. So it didn't really capture the spirit of the ride, I don't think. But so you can kind of see in that picture, there's the little protection domes. Kind of made it a hide and seek type thing with 10 of them because that was the only way you could get those little buggers to stay in one spot. So yeah.
So that was your Magic Kingdom one, and of course we said 4 parks. So let's look at your next one, and that would be your Test Track one.
Test Track, yes, is my baby. It's actually, I know they just kind of in the last few years redid Test Track. It's kind of got like that Tron Legacy vibe to it. This was kind of my original ideas. I was unlocking pieces from the toy box, from the Cars play set, and different things. I kept thinking, man, you could make like the original Test Track out of a lot of these. And is it still up on your screen? It just went away on mine.
Well, I can get that up. Just keep talking about it.
Anyway, but this was actually the first toy box I ever built. Back before I entered challenges, I said I'm going to build attraction boxes, and Test Track was my first one. Yeah, it was kind of hard to do. For the first one, it being mostly a dark ride, it was hard to do a lot of those interiors. So I got, had to learn the hard way how to use a lot of the terrain pieces as walls and stuff. But yeah, that one's always near and dear to my heart because that's my first one. That's my pride and joy.
Okay. So your next, I guess we'll start and hit Hollywood Studios.
All right.
You did a great toy box for this one, and this one was actually you got to submit it twice.
Yes, this was for obviously the Muppet Challenge, but also I tried to kind of give it's based off Muppet Vision, which is one of my favorite all-time attractions, and from everything I've read, one of Jim Henson's last Muppet projects was Muppet Vision 3D. But based off the finale there with Sam Eagle, one of my favorite Muppet at least, in his glorious 3-hour tribute to all nations, but mostly America. And it had little elements like obviously had mandatory fireworks for a toy box. He had the little colonial townspeople, the soldiers from Pirates of the Caribbean, kind of had that Revolutionary War outfit kind of look to them, so they kind of fit in. They looked kind of like the little Muppets from that scene at the end, if you've ever been there. But for whatever reason, as much as I love the Muppets, I feel like every time I go to the studios, and we actually, me and the wife and Pirate all actually did get to go to Muppet Vision, but every time I go to Muppet Vision at Hollywood Studios, someone falls asleep. I think it's hilarious, but this time the honor goes to my wife, actually. The time before my dad fell asleep in Muppet Vision, but I love it. I can't get enough of it. But yeah, I had a Statue of Liberty Piggy there. I think you showed as well. So
Yeah. Okay. So that was your great Muppets toy box. There's one more park, and that would be That'd be Animal Kingdom. So why don't you tell us what you did for the Animal Kingdom toy box?
Animal Kingdom was actually the most recent box I built because that park challenge came a little bit after the Egg Hunt challenge. This is the Yeti, which basically moves as much as the Yeti down at the actual Animal Kingdom, but had to spent days working on the block art and making sure it worked. There's not really a great photo online of capturing the Yeti with the lighting and all that, so I kind of had to improvise a little bit. But that photo gives you sort of a sense of the scale of this thing. But it was really tough to then, once you have this giant Yeti, to build the mountain around it, which, from what I've read, is how the Imagineers did it. They had the giant Yeti animatronic, and then they built the mountain around him. So it's I tried to emulate the same thing. But man, that was tough. Again, watched the video a ton as I was kind of trying to figure out the track layout and tried to copy it as best as you can, really. But which was weird because you spend hours pouring into a toy box, watching the YouTube video, the ride along. But then going to the park and riding the ride, it's like I knew every curve and twist and turn in that thing before it came. So, I was able to, my wife had never ridden it before, so I was like borderline psychic because I was like twist, dive, dip. I was telling her everything that was coming up. She's like, "How do you have this memorized?" And it's like,
That's funny. So another thing I like about you is you're very helpful to the other forum members. Whenever they needed advice on how to build a toy box, you'd be right there for them. And this is one of the ones you did with some forum members.
yes, this one was a massive team up between Pirate, myself, and everyone's Infinity friend, the model train man. So big shout out to him. But for the Princess Challenge, we tried to tackle a Brave box, which we thought would be a pretty unique twist and on the Princess thing. And obviously, Disney must agree because we're getting a Merida figure coming up soon. But I did the okay. You're gonna have to help me on the names. Mordu. Did I say it right?
Yeah, you did.
Hot dog, I got it right this time. That's the Mordu bear, which I had kind of peeking out, climbing over the terrain, so it looked like it was kind of climbing up there, poking his head up, which gains direct inspiration, i.e. completely ripped off from Pirates' Gravity Falls box, where Grunkle Stan is kind of doing the same thing off the side of the terrain.
And I'm totally fine with that. You ripped that off because I ripped that off of Finn Warrior's Finding Nemo toy box. So we're good there.
Yeah, and in the Infinity Forums community, we just call that collaborating and sharing ideas. So.
Yeah, it's all about sharing. Everybody there is very friendly. So yeah, you get to share ideas. The next one we're going to talk about is another great one that you did, and that would be this one. From the from the Tron challenge, you did the MCP, the
The,
big old red guy.
yeah, the master control program. Because originally I love Tron, but I said I was kind of waiting for that challenge to go down, and when it came, I told myself, you know what? I'm going to go original Tron. I figured most people were going to go Legacy. It's a more recent movie. It's got the texture and terrain and the vehicles. So I thought, let's try to do, you know, 80s Tron. And I was able to build the giant, freakish MCP. And I guess before I go any further, another tip or trick that we often talk about, me and Pirate, when you're looking at these contests and you're trying to figure out what your idea should be, the first idea that comes into your head is usually the first idea that comes into a lot of people's heads. So I know what I try to do is, what's plan B or C? And that's usually your best plan because that's not normally the one people think of. So I tried to go the MCP route here, original Tron, built them, liked them, took a photo, couldn't really figure out what else to do with them. The inspiration just wasn't there.
Yeah. So the next one that we're going to share is, and I couldn't believe at the time why this one didn't get featured. It was the one you did for the Ultimate Battle Challenge, and knowing what we know now, we definitely know why this one wasn't featured. Why don't you tell us about it?
Yes. Well, I was trying to figure out what under the Disney umbrella could constitute an ultimate battle, and instantly I thought of the Battle of New York from Avengers, which, as we all know and love, is a now Disney thing. But I built the Shield Helicarrier, and the first photo you see here is sort of where your starting point is. Try to do a very pixelated, the landing pad, helicopter pad for the helicarrier is actually the Shield insignia there. Then you have sort of the overview there of the helicarrier. Use the incredible sky dome so you can kind of see the city in the distance there. But not a single terrain piece in that one, which is a toy box meter killer right there when it's all blocks. But then, kind of basic battle arena, you get points for defeating your opponent. There's some hidden rooms that I remember I put in there. There's a room for each of the core Avengers, Hulk, Captain America, Iron Man, Thor, and tried to design the floors to kind of look a little bit like them so you kind of knew whose room you were in, and tried to match up some kind of components that would kind of quote-unquote give you their powers. Like the Hulk room, you had the green growth pads, so you kind of hulked out. Iron Man, I'm sure, with some sort of laser blaster. Thor, you don't really have Odin's mighty hammer, so we went with Odin's mighty frying pan for that room. But, you make do with what you got, so...
I love that. The Helicarrier toy box is definitely a winner, but of course Disney Infinity wanted to come out with Marvel first, so we can't do your toy box in the challenge. So that was your non-feature toy boxes. Thanks for sharing those with us. I'm sure everybody's happy to have been able to see them on this show. What do you do for a living? What is your profession?
Well, I just finished my 6-year teaching middle school. So I've taught, I did a little coaching as well, but done pretty much every class I can think of. I've done math, I've done engineering, I've done history, I've done a conflict management class for middle schoolers, which was involving me and a bunch of middle school girls and drama, and boy, that was not a fun one. My favorite class, one of my favorite classes, I got to teach a math elective that got all its math from fantasy sports. So we did a fantasy league and kind of learned statistics and different things from that. But yep, just a whole lot of teaching.
So did your students know that you were a video game legend? Because I'm pretty sure they would think that was cool.
Um, they knew I was a gamer, but I don't think I ever revealed my identity as Papa Echo. I know a lot of the kids, especially sixth graders, they got the game for their birthday, Christmas especially. Saw a lot of kids getting it, but so I kind of knew my students who had it. So I always would try to like test the waters with them a little bit. And I remember one kid who was really into Infinity. He was trying to, learn the ins and outs. And it was around right after Christmas break, and I asked him, I was like, "So how you liking it so far?" And he said, "Yeah, no, it's cool. I love it. The levels are really great." And he starts talking about the downloadable ones, and of course he's talking about how awesome the big room is by Enram, and he was like, and then he just put out the Santa's Workshop, which is amazing. And I'm like, yeah, that one's cool. I was like, what did you think about the Putt Putt one, the North Pole or the North Hole mini golf? And he was like, yeah, that one's stupid. And I just kind of like was like, go to class. I don't want to talk to you anymore.
You get an F.
Yeah, I was like, fail.
Well, that's kind of. I would totally guess you'd be a teacher and especially engineering, because I could see a lot of that in the toy box, and I see the way you are with a lot of the forum members and trying to teach people how to use the toy box. So I definitely see that as a profession for you. So school's out, right? You're starting your summer vacation.
School is officially out. Yes, summer has begun. So good times there.
So do you have any Disney Infinity plans for the summer?
Well, maybe, but I guess for right now, for me, um, packing up the wife and the new dog and all that, and we are going to go on a cross country trip. So we're moving out west from my home here in Charlotte, North Carolina, all the way out to Salt Lake City, Utah. So
Utah, you know they don't have a football team in Utah, right?
no football team, so I can, I guess, gladly wear my Panthers pride, which I believe the Panthers, that's the official show, Disney Infinity TV, right? Or the official team, I should say.
Hey, I guess.
Yeah, we just,
Um,
Pirates a big Saints fan, so
so Utah, what is there in Utah?
got a very exciting job opportunity out there that I was gonna take. One of those offers that was just too good to pass up. Not a lot could kind of. I love it here in Charlotte. Um, there's not a lot that can move me from my home here, but this was just kind of one of those things where I was like, you know what, I got to do it.
Utah. Isn't Utah where Avalanche Studios is? Do you have any? Are you trying to tell us something? Do I need to start the drum roll?
I might, but there needs to be a proper sound effect for it, I feel, before I do that.
Let me see if I got one.
All right. Well, hey, I love it. Yes. I have actually accepted a job with Avalanche Software, and I figured what better place than to break it on episode 1 of Inside the Toy Box by saying that I will be joining the Avalanche team as an associate level designer. So there you got it.
Wow. Wow, Patrick, the possibilities really were infinite, right?
That's right. They say if you can dream it, you can do it, and I just kind of took it to the next level, I guess. There, who knows?
That is so exciting. I'm so happy and happy that you were able to accomplish that. I mean, you bought the game in August, and now you're going to be developing parts of the game. And I'm happy to hear that it sounds like you're going to be building toy boxes for us to play for a long time and being getting paid for it, which is even a bonus. So congratulations on that. That is insanely awesome. And thank you for breaking that news on the show.
Well, I sincerely appreciate it, and I sincerely appreciate you having me. And yeah, it's an honor. It's a rush right now. It's still I'm still kind of on cloud 9 about it.
So does that start?
Just being on this show, particularly. That's
How is that gonna start later this month or?
yes, that's the plan. So it's coming up. You can't see off camera here. I got boxes to my left, boxes to my right, but yep, it's happening very, very soon.
Wow.
So.
Congratulations. I know a lot of your fans out there, and I'm sure there's a bunch of them, even more than 10. I'm sure they are excited for you and can't wait to see what kind of 2.0 action you have for us. Definitely keep us in the loop. And definitely you have an open invitation to rejoin the show for any time you want to about us with toy boxes. I just have one last question for you about what's it like to get that call from Avalanche inviting you to join the team?
Ooh, I feel like, man, ugh. I feel like my silence pretty much sums it up right there because it's you can't really put in words even. I still feel like I'm floating. I'm still so happy and so unreal to think about. But
Was it one of those moments where you just jump in the air with your fist pumped and you just like freeze there like at the end of a movie and then eventually you just fall down?
yeah, a little bit of that. When I first got word of it, I just immediately went outside. Like I was on the couch watching something with my wife, and I didn't even put anything into words yet. I just like shot outside because it's like I needed to run around somewhere. And I didn't want to do it around the couch and scare her. So very, very sad. It's kind of a Last Starfighter type feel where you play a game and you play it so well that you get recruited into it and it becomes real life. So just crazy, just nuts. But
well, thanks again, Patrick, for being on our show. Do you have anything else you want to say before we go to the outro?
The possibilities are infinite.
That is the quote. So we're at the end of the show. We're just going to take a brief moment of silence for all of the toy boxes that might have went into retirement mode this week. I know Patrick and I probably lost one or two, so we'll just pause for a second. All right, that's enough. So yeah, thank you for joining us for this show. This was episode 1 of Inside the Toy Box. We are a part of the Disney Infinity TV podcast network. We'll be bringing you many shows to come on toy boxes. Also, don't forget to catch the weekly Inside Infinity podcast. I'm from Disney Infinity Fans Forum. A great place to learn about toy boxes and a great community in general to talk about Disney Infinity and all things video games. We currently have 38 featured toy box artists, which is a great tool to learn from people that know how to get their toy boxes featured. That it makes up 123 total toy boxes and 71% of the downloadable content that has been brought to you by this forum. So definitely check out Disney Infinity Fans forums and don't be a lurker, register, and get in there and talk about it because you definitely learn a thing or two, and it'll make you a better builder into toy box mode, which is a big part of the game. So again, thank you for being here. The possibilities are infinite, or that's what I hear. So we'll see you next time. Thanks for joining us.